you, Lord Chairman, and thank you, Minister. Can I follow up what Lady Fall has just said to you? China is one of the most actively engaged outside powers in Africa, and indeed it's referred to in this committee's report on China, which was published last September. Issues include their pursuit of natural resources, including the mining of lithium, for instance, in the Congo by using child labor, by the enormous debt traps that you've just referred to, Minister, and plans to establish a permanent military presence from Djibouti to Equatorial Guinea. What's the government doing to contest the challenges posed by China to the Commonwealth and to the United Kingdom's interests in Africa? Thank you.
So, China is an important source of aid and trade for many African nations, but there are potential risks, and we recognise those risks, especially around issues like debt sustainability and the economic and political influence. We seek to maximise the positive contribution that China may have, whilst absolutely working to mitigate those risks. And where we have concerns about Chinese activity, we raise them. Our high commissioners, our ambassadors raise them on the ground. I raised some of those concerns in some of the countries that I visited just last week. We are also working with partners to ensure that developing countries have those honest, reliable alternatives so that they can avoid having to be dependent on China or any other country. We've encouraged China to adopt international sustainability standards, for example, to improve the effectiveness of trade and investment in Africa. For example, we've been concerned about the lack of import controls and understanding of national requirements, which have led Chinese buyers to buy timber of illegal or unknown origin, and that has put at risk governance of forests in Africa. But working through our forest governance markets and climate programme, we've introduced the new provision of the forest law in China, and that has made in China the import of illegal timber an offence. And what we saw through our outreach last year is that through the programme we've stimulated above market demand for certified legal tropical timber from Chinese buyers. So initiatives like this on specific industries can also make a difference. So big picture, honest and reliable, open, transparent finance, making sure that countries are aware that they can come to the UK and ask us to bid on projects, making sure that we call out where we have got concerns, and also working in this targeted way in particular industries that are of significant concerns.
Thank you, Minister. If I can pursue that, though, and invite you to perhaps delve a little bit more deeply, and you're right to contrast the kind of parameters that there are in an open society like the United Kingdom with what we've come to expect from the PRC. Can you say something, though, about the PRC's attempts to displace the United Kingdom's influence in the Commonwealth, the subversion of United Nations institutions by the CCP, and forcing African countries to support them by buying their votes on issues like the persecution of Uyghurs and the revoking of relationships with Taiwan? In Uganda, where you told us you were last week, there's a £1.6 billion of debt to China, and in November it was reported that Entebbe Airport was taken over by China after loans weren't repaid. In the context of swinging cuts to ODA, how can we meet these threats to our democratic interests? Thank you.
Let me just say that I did discuss our offers of more open, transparent finance on key infrastructure projects with President Museveni when I met him last week. I'm not going to go into the specifics on the airport deal there, but one of the things that we've tried to do is to make sure that that China is participating in initiatives on debt. It's good that they're participating in the G20 initiatives on debt. China does need to deliver. It's too early to say how effective that initiative is going to be. But the debt relief negotiations do take place within established multilateral frameworks. And actually, China has suspended more debt service payments under the debt service suspension initiative than any other creditor. But it's clear that implementation of that initiative has not been perfect, with relatively low levels of transparency. And that further complicates assessments of implementation. The debt service suspension initiative closed at the end of last year, but countries requiring further debt treatment can make use of the G20 common framework for future debt treatments. We are really closely following the ongoing discussions of debt relief in Chad, and through our seat on the creditor committee for Zambia, the UK will seek to ensure that any precedents set in those negotiations support the effective functioning of the common framework. We haven't shared aim of stability with China, but my conversations and the feedback that I continually get from African leaders is that they do not want to be totally in China's orbit. They value their independence and they understand that as well. So it's very important what the Foreign Secretary has said in her Network of Liberty speech and since about the UK being there for the long term, being the investor that will bring that transparency, bring that reliability, and also not just through what we do through public contributions of ODA, through BII, but also harnessing private investment as well to make sure that when it comes from the UK, comes with that level of transparency. And that was what we must continue to do to make sure that our African friends have got an alternative.
Thank you, Minister. We go next to